scratchy too.
Yeah. Okay, we've gone over mountain, forward fold, half lift, plank, the descent, all right, so let's talk about the descent, safer ways to get to it. I showed you the way we did our flows this morning, right? And, hey, can somebody grab me 2 blocks from the room? And I'll show you some better ways to teach people how to descend. And being able, because it's not that they don't want to do it. They don't want to belly flop and have that happen over and over again. It's just that they're not sure how to get there in any kind of safe fashion. So I will grab blocks, and maybe I use them here. And I put the middle finger right behind, okay? I'm going to put my shoulder heads on the block. You tell people this and they're like, what? I don't know what she just said. So maybe the best place to start is on your knees, and I'm going to put it here, okay? I want most of the shoulder head, not just like a piece of it. I have some bicep resting on it. But then you get people here and then they do this. I don't know what this is, but obviously it's not a plank. But you usually can build them up to a plank here. They're resting. They're resting. This is a plank. This is their chaturanga. Right? Just so that they can feel like, what? Holy cow. Then you go, okay, I think they're strong enough. And they peel and they land. And they peel and they land. That's very advanced, okay? Because this is usually what happens. You tell them to come off of it, and they're like, hell no, I don't know what she said, but here's how I'm going to do it. Locking joints is the #1 way people will get to things. Okay, I also use the block here. Here's my chaturanga. Still, same thing. I haven't changed anything. This is it. Right angles in my elbows. Shoulder heads facing forward. Up top. Shoulder heads never drop. That's the swoop thing.
Do it like a halfway. You know, you have like a halfway down.
That is halfway down.
That is halfway down. Okay.
That is as low as you're going, man. Watch what happens when I go lower. Say this is my chaturanga all the time. That's lower. Hell yeah, I'm lower.
Yeah.
Right? Did you see what kind of angle I had between my elbow and the top of my shoulder? Rotator cuff. Hello. I'm just about to fuck you up.
And usually people will do that, Sammy, because going not as low is really, really hard.
Yeah.
The chest has to be strong. This place where nobody knows where it is has to be strong. Your core strong as, so rather, yeah. Right?
So this is, to me, the best. My husband's super tall. This is not enough for him. He can't make a right angle in his elbows here with this.
To get his chest out.
Mm-hmm. He hates me for me to do this to him because it's not the angle that I really want. Okay, so this one is better for him.
I'm a that person too.
Mm-hmm. You can't screw it up. I don't care if you're the shortest person or tallest person in the room. If you're shorter, look here. We got some different options. But it is a straight line from here to here, always. You saw this, right? You saw it. Straight line. Did not do this number. Why do I do this? Why as a person would I do this? Because I'm used to working this muscle, not this one. This versus this. It's just, the other things that we do. This guy, whoa, it's strong. That is a big, I cannot stress how much difference for people coming to yoga. And even people that have been doing it for years and years.
Can you show one more time how you got those 2 blocks in your arms in there?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna turn them this way so I have more shoulder, okay? And then I line up middle finger, that's the width part, shoulder width apart. You have somebody super tight in their shoulders, they might have to go wider. Fine, I don't know. Okay? I'm gonna do the knees, right? So that I can do this right the first time. I have taught this class before, and people have taken them too wide, and they're like just a tiny bar, you know, like assuming this is okay. Not. I need for you to feel support. So however many times you need to get this person set up right. It's really important. I don't know why people want to rush something like that. So you're workshopping it. Then usually this happens. I'm resting. Okay? So you got to get them to pick their head up, but then this happens to you. Anyway, here's my long spine. And maybe this is like, I can't even hold this because I'm doing this number. Oh, it's too hard. So you got to get them to hug in. That might be enough. And then you do the building up from the feet. You're done. You've got it. This is your chaturanga. And you're not using your wrists. I'm in my fingers the whole time. And my palms, no wrists.
So with the head dropping down, can I cue like the back of your neck should be facing the ceiling?
Try it.
Okay.
I like it, I've never heard of it, but good. I mean, I don't know if people know where the back of their neck is.
Okay.
In the back of your head.
I would sometimes talk about lifting your face, but this causes this. I talk a lot about crown of head reaching forward. It's not working for me all the time. I don't know.
There was a cue in Mountain that we did where we talked about the back of the skull,
Uh-huh.
pulling back the back of the skull. Do you
Yeah.
think that would work there?
Sure. You know, when we do the seated forward fold, staff pose is drop the chin. See how I just lengthened the back of my neck? And lift the heart. This lines it up. So, but I'm scared, again, people that have this going on, they don't realize this. And so any movement, just like I showed you with the feet, any movement is way too big. They're like, if you say tuck the chin in, they're dropping it way down here. And then they're making their hyphosis, yeah.
Well, I remember when I first started doing yoga and, cues like that, I mean, it's like I'm just trying to survive, be in a plank pose,
Right.
and it's like, I don't care what my head is doing. I
Right.
didn't even care what the teacher was saying.
Right.
Like, I didn't even listen to
Watch
the
what
teacher
happens
for a
when the
while.
head is in the wrong place, though. We won't use these blocks, because we hardly ever use the blocks, right? You ask people to come to the floor, they were in their plank, they never, I need to see what my feet are doing, obviously. So because my head is dropped like this, and my shoulders are,
Yeah.
I don't have a chance. I don't have a chance to take the mountain to the floor. I talk about that, take your mountain to the floor. But it's not that they don't want to, it's they don't have the strength to. That is a hard move. Especially if you've been taught to do push-ups in gym class where no alignment is taught.
Yeah, but I like getting them in mountain pose and then showing them this.
Don't work though.
And
Yes,
then
you can.
trying to
Sometimes
explain.
it does.
It does. I mean, I don't want you to like hang
Yeah,
your,
me too.
I don't want you to hang all of your job is to keep trying. You can't keep saying the same shit over and over again and expect a different result.
Yeah, true. Very true. For me, that's what
Okay.
gets
I
me
think it
into
makes so
that.
much sense. I'm like, look, you know this, you
Yeah.
got this.
Mhm. It just helps with my head, like
Yeah.
the neck
I'm
and
like,
the
oh,
head.
this
doing
sounds
really
supposed to be
Right.
like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah, what worked for me was one of your classes, you know, you had done the long neck and mountain pose, and then, but it's like that lack of awareness of not knowing what your own body's doing. So
Right.
every time we went down, you said, don't drop your head,
Right.
don't drop your head. And then each time you did it, I thought, oh shit, I dropped my head again.
Right.
And I didn't know that, so now I cue myself a lot more. But it
You
was that
guys
repetitive cueing
have
on
so
you.
many hours of yoga under your belt. Now I'm asking you to teach somebody that doesn't. You have to be willing to come to their place, not your place. So what I'm asking you for the next month is to, in your own body, be willing to change. If you go, I'm going to say it again, if you don't change, they're not going to change. Okay, so I've been over the hop forward. I'm not going to demonstrate that again. I've been over the step forward, okay? Now, I know my right side is stronger than my left, okay? So watch, my step forward on my left side is not as good. I don't think I can take my foot up as high. A lot harder for me, a lot harder. And so then, but look, it's the same movement I did when I lifted my hips to do the handstand. Look how high my hips are gonna go to make the step. What you see a lot of times, I don't know, I think this comes from some kind of group X where you do, you know, you prep it. Do these taps, do this tap, whatever, right? They're not going to be able to do this tap down here. Maybe they try to. There's something that happens here. They go like this. Well, you're not going to be able to step here. It's way back there. Because my hips are too low. The hips have to stay high for the step. That, I think that other thing is, maybe you're just going to torture them in plank doing these things a little bit, but it's not a lesson in how to step.
This is for torture.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay,
This is for
now.
function. Function, torture.
Right.
Like,
That's why we do the knee to the back and the arm, knee to your chest. It's for function. It's for stepping forward. And if you let somebody come out to plank there, that's not a good function.
You mean when they're practicing that and they roll out into a plank with their,
Mhm.
with their knee?
Yep, yep,
Okay,
yep.
I got you. But you could do that in a different exercise to build core strength. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said some other torture, but
Yeah.
it's not for
Oh,
function.
torture, okay, got
because
it.
how, look, look, this whole, where the hell is it gonna go?
Yeah.
Totally.
Right, and then you're doing that, which is terrifying. And so for function, it's keep your hips high as you step versus pull out into your, this is I'm building core. This
Right,
is I'm
watch
gonna
this.
step my
Okay,
foot
now
down.
do the like the
Yeah.
slam your foot to the floor because you didn't have any room. There. And that, yep.
And then this one's now wrong too. You know, they did the whole thing
A lot.
front to back, right? So I'm getting stronger, I'm stepping forwards.
Yes, okay.
When you, you know, you say walk, step, or hop, walking is slower, so you might be behind the next.
Look at the walk. This is a prep to a press handstand. I'm here. I'm going to keep my legs straight. And I'm going to stay on my tippy toes. Watch how my hips start to come up and over my hands. I'm ready for a press handstand here.
Do
I want to see.
Right? I get my hips over my arms. That's how we do a handstand. Not from down dog and fling our legs up and cannot stop. Yeah, so that is amazing work, right? I don't care what the hell you're doing, acting like Flipper over there.
There were a lot of.
But if you're somebody's doing it slower, or you're watching them do it, and you're doing, you know, some multiple ones, do you slow down so they can catch up, or they just have to be, they're They're on their own.
They're
I
on
can
their
do the
own.
tippy
It's a
toe thing.
warm-up, it's a
The same-
warm-up. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Well, it was that too. but,
Okay.
You know, walking.
You, and like,
You could do
say
this
I
one.
do that in a public
This one.
class when they have me do,
For
right?
Yeah.
someone who can't
Right,
do
yes.
it, right?
Right.
That's their walk.
That's
is
their
slow,
walk.
Yeah.
And that's okay, too. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe they get behind.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't need for everybody to be on the beat in the warm-up. I need for them to warm up.
Right.
Let's just briefly diverge into my feelings about yoga nidra, repair and restore, sleepy time yoga, okay? I definitely think it has a place in yoga, okay? Without a doubt. Just like hypermobile people are drawn to yoga, people that don't like to move their bodies a lot are drawn to those classes. People that are, huh?
What's yoga
Yeah.
nidra?
Sleepy time, sleepy yoga.
Yogic
Yoga sleep.
Mm.
Okay?
Literally a nap.
All right, literally not. So just like you have, and people that are, you know, too much, they're drawn to vinyasa. They're drawn to power yoga, right? Oh, I'm gonna get this shit done. This is the curiosity part. If you practice your meditation, you practice your self-care, you get 8 hours of sleep every day, and you know how to take a break when you need to, I don't think you have to do yoga nidra, repair, restore, that kind of thing. But if you struggle with that, you know, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not taking care of yourself, I think those kinds of things are critical to you finding that curiosity. If you're, you know, a person that's kind of chill, a little lazy, you know, running sounds like the worst possible thing ever. I think you probably need to do some vinyasa. Controversial, yes, I threw it out there. And so, but I say it because all of these things that I've shown you are a product of this person and their kind of personality, what they're bringing to it. And a person that's you know, kind of a chill, I don't really like to move person, and you make them move a lot in your vinyasa class, you look at their face and you're like, I'm gonna run and stand in the back of the line because that person is pissed at me. I'm sorry. But that's probably the best thing for them. And they're the people that walk out of class and go, oh my God, that was amazing. But, you know, you have somebody that is, you know, I already ran 12 miles this morning. I went on my bike and then I'm going to go swim after this and I'm going to do this thing too. This was just another penny in the bucket. Y'all need to know that about yourselves, not your students. All right, let's do one sunbathe. Okay, everybody, find a place. And then I want to talk just briefly, just one of them. In your body, don't look at anybody else, do your thing with all of this knowledge. I'm not going to correct anybody. We will get to that point where we'll talk about your practices, but not today. But I did for Alex/Max.
Oh my gosh. Friend.
Alex. Alex.
Poor Max.
Yeah. Everyone was gonna like.
Do you want me
let
to
that
cue
go
it?
for a minute.
Okay. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, back and down. You take your time getting there. Your next inhale, wherever you are, is your back bend. Your next exhale is your downward facing dog. All right, you know that you got a step. What's going to give you the best success here is your down dog too long. Inhale, right foot forward. Come all the way up. Still inhaling. Good. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet to the back. Exhaling the whole way down. Slow it down. You might grab an extra breath there, but your inhale is going to be a back bend. Your exhale is your downward facing dog. All right, I see a lot of people in their wrists. A lot of people. I need for you to change it up. Inhale, left foot forward. Come on up. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet to the back. Moving. Nice. Inhaling. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend your knees. Feet between hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair. Exhale, come all the way up, hands at your heart. You got it. I did not go over chair. We're not going to do it. I need for everybody to talk. So I watched everybody a little bit. And I know your practice is pretty well. So I know I could, I don't want to do that today. I'm not going to do it. So I want to hear what your thoughts are. Alex, let's go.
I have a bad habit of in down dog really extending too
Too
far
long,
when
right?
I have a really short legs and
Yeah.
a long torso. So since started training, I'm always more mindful now about scooching my legs.
Scooch it up,
forward.
man.
Yeah.
What's
Yes.
wrong with
And
that?
that it's okay to have a short down dog.
Yes,
Yes.
it feels good.
Yes.
Isn't that really what it's about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful observation. Heidi.
I have to not lock the elbows.
Oh,
So I have
okay.
to go wider and somehow get out of my wrist. Cause
Yeah.
it was like, I was like, ooh, that's me.
Okay,
But and not going long in my down dog either. Like I'm doing this whole thing.
too long. The plank to down dog is going to take you to too long a dog, and there's no reason for it. Thank you. Lisa.
I think it's something that I can't work on at the moment, but, I think the reason I'm injured is my chaturanga. And, so, looking forward to working on
Okay,
that
good.
soon.
Soon. Okay, good. Lisa 2.
So I know for a fact that I've got to get my hips up in order to get my
Right.
step up through my.
Yes.
Clearly that was right. So I know that. I'm sure there's some other things too, but
But it's hard to get the hips up if you're in your too long down dog,
yeah,
right?
right. So I scooch it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You go to an advanced yoga class with super advanced yogis, I have never seen them not adjust. They always adjust. Always.
I adjust all the time.
That's how you know that you're kind of in like a beginnery class, is no one adjusts. Peyton.
So definitely like the step forward is always like my issue. So yeah, I need to work on that, kind of similar to Lisa. I need to lift my hips higher and probably shorten my down dog. I've gotten better at doing shorter down dogs. It feels so short to me though, because I'm 4'9",
Yeah.
right? Like I'm little. And so like my down dog, like looking at anyone else, and that's the problem, is looking at anyone else. But like me in most postures just does not look like anyone else, because it's like, I'm like a
And,
foot
your
shorter than
limbs are
normal
different.
people.
Everybody's limbs are different lengths.
So-
So Pilar's thigh bone is really long. on her for the length of her leg, so it's also your bone length, certain
Yeah.
ones, right?
I
Yeah.
have like a bug body. Very short torso, very, very short.
But yeah, so definitely a step forward. And I feel like, honestly, part of this is hard for me because then I overthink things and I don't know if I'm overcorrecting or undercorrect. Like, and it's just everything.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially in practices lately, I tend to overthink
Right.
things. And then I'm like, still not sure
What
if I'm
about
doing it right or not.
okay, instead of looking at it as, I'm not doing it right, to, I'm gonna try this thing and see how it feels.
Okay.
Just see how it feels. You don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not doing that anymore. Great. Done with that, okay? My suggestion to the both of you guys over the next month is the next time you're in a public class, you grab 2 blocks and you work on 2 blocks under your hands.
Okay.
Because it forces your hips higher. It gives you more space to step. You feel like you're more in control. Okay,
Well, I think I was focusing on my neck because sometimes I get caught, especially there was something we were doing and I was like, what is my neck supposed to be doing? And I'm trying to figure out what feels right. So I think that's what I was concentrating on, just to see if I'm level or if I'm like pulling it. I don't know. I'm just.
most times in downward facing dog, people are looking up into their bellies, and that is a cue. But the pose is called downward facing dog. You're facing the floor.
Mhm.
That's where your neck is neutral.
This.
Peyton, something that helps me is to shut my eyes and like I can really feel what's going on in my body too, like in practice and everything, or if like, you know, looking at someone else or like the distraction, if you shut your eyes, it's just like an internal experience. And that's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I need to do it more. I
Yeah.
It's really, it feels so good.
That way you can get in touch with
Yeah.
the way something feels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And trusting how your body's giving you what feels right for you is pratyahara for sure. Thank you, Brian. Good job.
Sammy,
Probably the transition to chaturanga, the breath, you know, it's one breath, but always inhale and then exhale,
yeah,
or exhale and inhale, whatever. So do 2 breaths instead
Right.
of the 1 breath.
okay, cool.
And so when I was starting to work on Sun B on my own, I was like, what am I? Then you end up here and you're inhaling.
Right, yeah. But what about the poses themselves?
Yeah.
Did anything feel different yet? No.
Not really.
Okay. This is y'all's work, right? Before we get into the anatomy and even, I mean, we're just like scratching the surface on stuff. Okay,
I regret picking this spot because the camera, and I was scared about the camera.
Okay.
But I did notice that I was doing the same thing as you guys with taking my hip out too far, not lifting the hips high enough. And I have noticed before that I will drop my shoulder heads when I'm doing a chaturanga. And so it's like a constant battle for me, trying to remember to keep this on the way down. Yeah. And then I've been trying to practice when we're flowing, like looking down during downward facing dog instead of back.
yeah.
Because I've had that
Feels so
habit.
weird, right?
Yes, I've had the habit of doing that for a long time, and so breaking the habit.
And so you're just bringing some tension into a pose that you hang out in a long time, right?
Mhm.
That you don't need to have.
So those are like the main things I noticed.
Good. Donate.
I did it right, like on one leg, and then on the other leg, it was just like, my body was like, screw you.
No.
And so I did all the little wonky chaturanga,
Yeah.
like dipping thing, and I'm like, bro, you know you're not supposed to do that. You know you're like, you just did it right, what happened?
Well, you go into overdrive, and I see that a lot, where I slow the class down and break down and talk about all these cues, but then it's like that is some totally different experience from what happens from the rest of class. They're like, I'm doing my thing.
Mine is, well, when I'm inhaling up to a lunge, really concentrating on not hiking a hip.
That's right, the skewed hips, right?
Yeah, because my hips really like to do that. And like when I come up, I'll be like, ooh, a little off balance. So
We
I'm
really didn't talk
working
about our standing pose, warrior one and crescent lunge, so we'll really dive deeply into those and anatomically what's happening. Well, I barely scratched on that this morning about so a lot of hypermobile people in a crescent lunge are here. And they like to get really low and do this. Do you see how I have to skew my hips to do this? Do you see that I'm using this, like this?
Yeah.
Don't do it! But it happens too in the low version, is this guy. I got it. Oh, this feels so good. No. Right, maybe you do this, but your fingers are on the floor. Yeah, so I can move my hips around. Once I get my hands off the floor, I can't.
You know you don't like props, but putting a block for the people that go too far under the other leg is a boundary.
Oh, yeah,
Is
I
that
love the
something-
boundary work. So
Okay.
I did that, we did our 2-block class, and I used the blocks as a boundary for a headstand.
Okay.
That was pretty successful. Because it kept people from doing this number, or from having their hands in the wrong place. I love blocks as boundaries for legs, feet, arms. Yeah, you can use the blocks as a boundary for chaturanga as well, to make sure that this is parallel.
Also, I've had someone put the blocks and the upward dog underneath right here.
Right, yeah,
And
to
that
keep you from
has helped-
sinking into your hips,
good.
right?
And that has been
Yeah.
such a change too.
I mean, here's the deal, as teachers, we only know what we know, especially in our own bodies. So I have to count on Haley to be able to go, yeah, I do this thing where I get all in that lower back, because that is not even in my practice. For like, I would never even think about doing that, because I've never been there. It doesn't mean anything to me. Any other observations? The last thing I wanted to cover that I have not talked about, we talked about it briefly in mountain pose, the feet, in your lunge, in your crescent lunge, or a little bit in down dog. You'll see this in down dog too. You'll see this. You know, you really want the people to have parallel feet. You talk about heels towards the ceiling. Because it's just gonna set them up. If I'm here and I step forward, I've already done, you know, it's gonna make my knee go like that instead of straight. If I'm here, I access the outer hip. I step like this. So then, once I step, I'm gonna show this from the front. You will see this. You know, this is pretty extreme, but you'll see this, maybe even here. You know, you really got to talk about the parallel feet. This is the half moon thing. I do my foot like this every time I do a half moon. That is 90% of your class. Parallel feet. Think of ways to talk about how you get the foot. Because it is so natural to people. They're walking around like this, or they're walking around like this. That they don't know what parallel feet isn't. Today, when we use the baseboard for Warrior One. How many people was it the first time that you were able to find your outer heel and sit in it? Because your feet don't necessarily do that. So I talked to you about my husband's Achilles is not very flexible. So for him, his Warrior One, let's look at it from the back. He can't really get this heel down like this. So it is always here. And I'm gonna show you from the side. So I showed you what it looks like in the back. So he doesn't get the heel in, so then this happens. Do you see this with my knee situation? So then I say, get the back of your heel on the floor, and he just does more of this. He can't. So it's really nice to use the wall for that person to find that. I've got something to push against now. And I'm not depending on my flexibility of my Achilles. Whether he would ever be able to find this without the wall, I'm not sure. I'd rather see him doing this. Good luck with that one.
I've got a question. So
Yes.
I've known everyone's feet are such different shapes.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes like I feel like for me to get my feet parallel, I tend to focus on, there are different spots on my feet that I look at and I bet people think of it differently in their own body. Is there a common cue that tends to work? Nope.
Whatever you can describe.
Okay.
Okay? I'll tell you something that's really interesting. I can look at people's feet and tell whether they do yoga.
Like correctly, or?
That they do a lot of yoga.
What kind of yoga?
Cat's feet are.
Like
You know why?
vinyasa?
You know why? Because
They're
they have more
crazy.
separation between their toes. Look at this.
It's like a foot, a hand, foot, toe, like.
Actually, mine
All
have, my
yogi
feet have changed since
Yeah.
I've done yoga. I've noticed my
That- And
toes.
why is that?
We spend all of our lives in our shoes with socks on.
Oh, yeah,
Adaptable feet.
yeah,
We are mutable.
yeah. Okay.
We are changing always. Whatever we do to ourselves manifests.
Those issues are in your tissues, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And motion is lotion, so there you go.
Yeah, so, you have to use your feet just like your hands in down dog. And so they start to change.
Can I share something Heidi said to the group
Yeah.
yesterday? She had two. She had Gwen and Peyton, so it's a lot, right? To watch two bodies and figure out what's going on is a lot. And she said, I gotta be honest, I was just looking at y'all's feet. And I was like, yes. Because if your feet are pointed, she said it from the beginning, if they're starting their pose like this, it's already problematic.
Already.
So if she's able to see it from the ground up, then and think about it, that's your connection to the ground. If I'm gonna have you move something, if this isn't right down here, what is this gonna
Then,
do?
yeah, somebody else is gonna take out the slack. How am I gonna step straight forward if my foot was in the wrong place to begin with? That's why I really don't love the bent knee, three-legged dog, that open hip thing, because you turn the foot, right? And then you're asking somebody to step forward, and their hip is like this, and they take the foot around, and it's usually not a great way. It's just not. They're not gonna be able, honestly, when you just say step forward, that's when you really see what you're working with. No slinging the foot around or anything, just step forward. It's just like watching somebody walk to the front of their mat. What have you got that you're working with? So then from there, you could do little exercises like the tapping the wrist or tapping the back of the block. Making this connection. All right, I got time for one more question. Nothing. Okay. I am gonna be mad if I watch y'all in class over the next month and I don't see some changes, I don't care if they are wrong changes. You hear me? Wrong. Like you're purposely doing something wrong. But I know all of your practices, really. And I need to see that you are willing to be different.
So you guys are gonna give us feedback, because sometimes it's really hard to see in your own body.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't think you're ready for it yet. Well, not that in the sense that I don't want to hurt your feelings. It is that you need to feel different stuff, right? If I give
Before
you
we
this
tell you.
information, then you're like, I don't know how to fix that.
Or you fix it and then you never know why.
Right.
Like you don't know how it feels different or what. It's like
You're
when you
just fixing
step
this
your
one
foot out
little thing.
farther,
It's
yeah.
a lot of stuff that we do, but out of habit and out of routine.
It's a range of change. I'm not demanding exact here. What does it feel like to go slightly here, slightly there and things?
Yeah, too narrow, too wide. What happens?
Hone me in on it, instead of me saying, here's your target now, Lisa. I'm saying, here's a range to try. Does that make sense? And then you find, Haley, this feels better over here sometimes.
Today, right.
Sometimes.
Right. Or maybe this range facilitates your transition. Maybe if you know you're hanging out in down dog for 10 breaths, you got this one down dog, okay? But then if you know that you're gonna be doing a lot of stepping forward, then your down dog looks a little different. But I'm concerned about safety in some places, like chaturanga, okay? I mean, I've had 2 students rotator cuff surgery, and I knew it. I knew what they were doing, but they weren't willing to hear it. And that's all about this. I've just put all of my butt weight, leg weight, everything right here. For what? To say you did a million of them? I don't know. I just think it makes me want to cry, honestly. And we'll end on that note.
Perfect.
Said perfect.
We are